New moon in Scorpio. Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you're feeling really well. My name is Sky, and I'm here to talk about this wonderful, potent, transformative time we will be having on November 15th, 2020. The new moon in Scorpio is especially prominent this year as we have a lot of transformations and distinct changes happening in the transiting planets over the next coming month. So I feel that this new moon in Scorpio is like the kickoff of the ending phase of these hard set, hard hitting placements that we've had over these last few years, really. We are about to have Saturn changing sign into Aquarius. We are about to be having Jupiter changing sign into Aquarius. I'm going to be making a full comprehensive video about the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius. Be sure to hit the subscribe button below if you're new with those bell notifications on for when that video comes, because that will be really, really important to talk about. But it's interesting that this new moon in Scorpio is coming around as we are moving into the final month of having the Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto conjunction in Capricorn, the transit that has really changed all of us in a way, the transit that has really shown all of us what our true context and true form really is. And now we are kind of in the beginning of the end, I would say. We are in the beginning of the true ending phase of that transit. And we have a lot to really talk to ourselves about, relating to our purpose, relating to our reputation. 10th house matters, what we want to project as, who we want to be, what we want our efforts to go toward, and how that all starts to kind of translate at a more collective level. So this video feels timely, it feels important, this topic feels important, and I'm going to try my best to really bring out some of the more important features of this time. So thank you all so much for being here. Be sure to comment below and let me know how the video resonated, what your experience of this new moon is, and how you expect to go through these oncoming weeks with a bit of flair as it relates to your own transformative cycles, because that's what the new moon in Scorpio is all about. Scorpio being the sign of transformation, the sign of death, sex, rebirth, really coming to the forefront of purpose as well. When the energy of the new moon encompasses that sign, it's about a new beginning. It's about reinvigoration. It's about a new view, a new scene, a new realization of purpose. So mixing those energies together with this extremely purpose-oriented transits in the sky, Mars having just gone direct in Aries, Mercury moving through Scorpio, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto getting into the most advanced direct degrees of Capricorn. We're not playing around when it comes to purpose, and so many people really can start to grasp and really set up a chain of events relating to true soul purpose here and now. So as I look at the chart for this particular new moon, what I notice is that the moon is not going new until 23 degrees of Scorpio. So it's a very late degree new moon. So the level of which we're dealing with late degree experiences is vast, okay? And what that says to me, having Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, also in the late degrees of Capricorn, having Venus moving into the late degrees of Libra, Sun and Moon in Scorpio, new moon in late degrees of Scorpio. There's just so many layers of trying so hard to get like a new glimpse of something quite old in our lives. Something very long running, something very contextual is trying very hard to become new and trying very hard to reform itself. This is the energy of reformation in general. This is the energy of vast levels of reform, okay? Vast levels of just hard-hitting shifts to the status quo, okay? It's not a complete change, I will say that. There's something about this that is very, very desperate to maintain the foundation, to maintain what the meat and potatoes of these experiences are, to maintain what has worked, okay? So something that is not going to be working right now are like complete drastic overhauls. Okay, I'm feeling collectively and intuitively that there is a strong desire to have this like complete overhaul, this strong desire to like go back to square one, to start from neutral, to start from zero. And that's not supported with these transits at all. As we build up to this Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius, we are really getting this like thrust of life force that's telling us, okay, start over, start from scratch, make everything from the beginning. What are the ingredients of these like recipes, okay? Because like I was talking about in the previous video, we're starting to get into a recipe type of mindset. How many different things, how many different experiences, how many different emotions does it take to get to this, area of purpose and motivation? And with that in mind, we're kind of like wanting to cook from scratch, I'm feeling. Of course, this all being an analogy, just sort of an allegory into the energy that we're feeling. We're all wanting to maybe do things the hard way, to cook from scratch, to completely look at all the individual ingredients of what is coming together. And with that being the case, I think that we need to actually step back and maybe take a broader look at what is actually working for us, at what is already completely prepared, at what is already mixed together and ready to be like delicious in our lives. I think that we can make things too difficult for ourselves over the next few months. I think that with this energy, what I'm feeling with this new moon in Scorpio is that there's a bit of a pitfall. There's a bit of a trap with it as well, that it's way too focused on doing things the hard way, way too focused on starting completely over, way too focused on reinvention and reformation as a whole, okay? And what the overarching message of all of these transits coming together is telling me, and this feels so vital and so important, is that we have to take what is working and use what is working. Yes, there are things that we need new beginnings with. There are things that we need to start over with, but it almost feels like one of the most important messages I've ever communicated on this channel, that over these next few months, and I want you guys to remember this as you're listening to this, there's going to be a lot of solar plexus level desires to start over, or to completely reinvent, or to completely reforge the destiny, okay? And you have to look at that if you're getting that feeling, and make a few questions around it. Formulate a few questions around, why is there a desperation to dispose of the old, to get rid of the old completely, and not learn, or to not use what has already worked out for us, okay? To not sidetrack myself, one of the most important things I can say is that we have to keep holding space for the things that have worked, okay? We have to keep at least a remembrance or a fondness of heart for certain things in our life that worked out well, because it's like we have to retain the memory of it. So the new moon in Scorpio also deals with memories. It deals with what comes to mind. It deals with it deals with a lot of non-tangible things, okay? And as the moon is debilitated in Scorpio, we have to remember this. So the new moon in Scorpio, all of the lunar cycles in Scorpio, full moon in Scorpio, new moon in Scorpio, this time of the year in general, we can do damage to our emotions. We can do damage and start a new cycle of damage to our projection, to our reputation, even being that there's so much Capricorn represented in almost direct sextile. So I would also like to really point out right now that the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction is in exact sextile to the new moon in Scorpio. So we can actually do damage to our reputation with this transit if we are working with a lot of fear and paranoia, okay? And more so than reputation damage, I mean, that's a slight possibility for some people. So you have to really keep a sort of tangential mindset about how you're portraying people, things in society. All of that has to be kept in mind. But more importantly is how do I want to say this? It's the desire to destroy the status quo, or the desire to destroy certain well-running things, whether this be like more societal or more individual, okay? We have been learning all about discernment for this entire year, and that feels to have been preparing us for this time, for this cycle of the next few months, where we get into a mindset about, okay, am I keeping this or am I getting rid of this? Am I continuing on this path, or am I going to step onto a new one? Am I going to keep, this identity, or am I going to create myself a new identity? It feels like people are really asking questions about their identity right now. Like, who am I? What do I represent? How do I want to be seen in the world? What do I want to, do? And it's starting to feel with this new moon in Scorpio, it doesn't really feel good. Okay. It doesn't really feel right. It doesn't feel kind. It doesn't feel, to me, it doesn't feel right. There's something about this whole, if you're having an identity crisis right now, for example, like you're kind of losing track of who you are, you're kind of losing track of your roots or anything like that, I would not focus on it too hard. One of the errors of Moon and Scorpio energy is the hyper focus on the identity, or the hyper focus on the emotional component of how you come off. I talk about this in my ebook, Moon Symbols, an astrological guide to healing your moon, which you guys should definitely check out. I'll link it below. But I kind of talk a little bit about all the moon phases, new, full, all the waxing and waning moon cycles. I talk about them, what they mean, what it means to be born with a moon at every moon cycle, and also with moon in different signs. And with Moon in Scorpio in particular, there can be a strong insecurity. There can be self-esteem issues, self-concept issues, and through focusing too much on the self-concept is a really good word to describe the energy of Moon and Scorpio. It's really trying to conceptualize the self, really trying to, probe into what the self stands for in an individual. And Moon and Scorpio, it kind of focuses so hard on it that it breaks it a little bit. So there can be like a breaking of the identity, or a piercing of what you stand for. So that's why integrity is so perfect. Honesty, having a good foundation, having multiple avenues, multiple options of possibilities is really great right now, just to offset the reformation that we all seem to be going through a little bit right now. What I want to talk about next is what I guess I would term as a sort of a karmic catharsis that's happening right now also. I'm thinking that with the sextile of Jupiter-Pluto conjunct to the new moon in Scorpio, along with a not super perfect orbed quincunx from Mars in Aries, to me that looks a little bit messy, a little bit violent even. So if any of us have any issues of violence in our lives, issues of abusive relationships, issues of power mongering or domination within our stories right now, that's kind of what that looks like to me. Having Chiron somewhat close to Mars as well. I mean, those are not very close, but what it says to me is that it would be a little bit more tangential, like I was saying, a little bit more indirect, a little bit more peripheral. Any types of abuses or violences or something not great to be having in our lives. If it were a little more close in orb, so if Mars were up right at that 23-degree point, I don't think that any of us could avoid it. I think it would be so obvious, and it would be quite likely that we would hopefully change that. But with Venus also being opposite in Libra, it pulls that Mars to that point, and this almost makes a very direct, that would be a very inauspicious angle in astrology, to have that Mars Venus opposition in Libra and Aries, and then to have this Scorpio sextile to Jupiter and Pluto. That's really erratic. It's a little bit psychotic, actually, I would say. So yes, you want to be safe. The most important thing is safety always, but that's what we can actually really achieve through achieving safety right now, through doing the high vibrational thing, through not taking any huge risks or being in dangerous situations. We can succeed. And also what I would then say is like the likelihood for procedures. Okay, I've known a lot of people getting surgeries. Actually, 2 people in my life just had really intense surgeries. I know 2 people, and I've had to help both of them. I had to take one of them to their surgery, and the other one I've been, just being like, sort of a cheerleader for and helping them to get through. But pretty intense surgeries that I've known with 2 very close people in my life. And actually, as I was driving one of them back from their surgery, they had a lot of intense bleeding, and so it's kind of a bloody time. It's kind of, from what I understand, like a bloody type of gory time. And this can happen, obviously, like physically or it can be experienced at the emotional level too, where I do think some people are going through some pretty nasty emotional experiences. So it's important to keep into mind, and what we have to really get past the ego. And I think, like I talked about in, I think it was the November video, was about the steel resolve that we need to really hone into, where if we're going through that, we've got to get this steel resolve. We've got to really, not get scared of these things which are human, like the human difficulties are really exposed right now. The, the scary aspects of humanity would come front and center with these transits, I would assume. The fear of power mongering, the fear of surgeries, the fear of the disruption of form, because that's also what surgery is as well. It's the disruption of natural form. And that's why everyone's really scared, obviously, to get a surgery. Like, nobody wants to have a surgery or something. But because our forms have reason, so if we have like a heart problem that needs surgery, or if we have like a, teeth that need to be pulled out or something, having manifested the heart problem or having manifested a rotting tooth or something is in alignment with our natural energy. So when we disrupt that, it's quite scary and it's a tough energy. And yes, we have modern medicine. We have all these modern things that actually allow us to change the momentum of energy. And sometimes that works, and sometimes it can be lethal. You have to sign all sorts of papers whenever you have a surgery, like if one were to die, it would not hold the hospital liable and things like that, because to disrupt energy in the form of a surgery is always very dangerous, because it is actually playing with the energy of the universe in a very human way, which is always dangerous. So this dialogue is important, though, even if you're not having, a surgery, or if you're not having anything like that going on right now, it's important to think about things this way, and what the disruption of natural form means, what the disruption of natural momentum means, and what we're actually playing with. Because I feel this not just at the individual level, but I feel this at the societal level too, where there's a really big push to interrupt momentums, or a really big push to clashing momentums. All of those things are coming up right now. And some of us, it can get hysterical for some people. And it does when humans start to form joy over the disruption of natural cycles. It creates hysteria. Like things like Salem witch trials come to mind. A lot of things come to mind, but we have to be aware of it, because I would also consider this a cultish type of transit, or a dangerous type of transit. So as individuals walking through this times, this does not last long, okay? So these within a month from now, this is all going to be off the table. Mars is going to transit through Venus. This is a short transit. If this were lasting longer, I would definitely be more worried. But this is the most erroneous part of this crazy transit that we've been having. The triple retrograde season was pretty prone to make mistakes, or prone to have issues, but it was more of a frustrating thing. This is more of a right to the heart, right to the most delicate point type of pushing energy. And it is so important that we just take things slow, and so important that we just measure ourselves. And even nullification is preferable, I think, to a sudden rise in power, or a sudden declaration of self-importance. Okay, it's almost even better to be nullified, because within Scorpio energy you have a few different archetypes. You've got the sort of I think it's Linda Goodman that talks about the midnight scorpion, the gray lizard, and the eagle. And I actually saw a bald eagle the other day when I was driving this person in my life back from their surgery. I saw a bald eagle flying, and this was a really interesting experience to me, because as they were bleeding, and as the eagle flew through, I thought, okay, there's a larger meaning to all of this. And that sometimes, we have to help people in our lives, and sometimes we have to also go through what they're going through vicariously, and we have to rise to that occasion. And it's not always what Scorpio energy is about, that sort of high-flying, integrity, strong archetype is not what Scorpio is always about. It can also be danger, it can be conspiracy, it can be sabotage, betrayal on the midnight Scorpion side, and then also it can be nullification as well on the gray lizard side, it can be illness, disease, nullification, impotency, delicate, fragile, non-substantial things as well. So within that triple complex of the Scorpio archetype, this new moon in Scorpio will operate through all three, so it depends on our momentum. Again, it's hard to make generalized content around Scorpio energy, period, because, and I mean really any sign, every sign has a few different levels through which it manifests, a few different vibrational levels, Scorpio being one of the more complex, diverse energetic frequencies. So it really depends on where we're at, but to continue that thread that I was talking about, it's almost better to even kind of nullify this energy and just walk through, keep things simple. One of the biggest blessings right now is to just have repetition, to just have safe, guaranteed repetition is one of the best things right now. And then also dreaming on the side and trying to keep as non-erratic as possible with it, okay? That's really important, is to keep things sober, sane, and okay. So important. And what I'll say is that those who come through this time having acted with integrity, having kept things simple, having helped the people in their life as well, and not having succumbed to paranoia or gigantic egomaniacal experiences, they will really ascend quickly in their own personal power. This transit also really creates power, okay? So it's the Jupiter-Pluto conjunct in Capricorn is such a strong energy of power. It's arguably one of the most potentially power mongering, but also just like generating of truly good integral power, the type of power like that I don't know, powers like new energy, the powering of homes, the powering of energy does come to mind. So how we get our own energy, how our houses get energy, how everything is energized through like the sun does come to mind with that, and we need more sunlight. Okay, so wanting to avoid the sun with Jupiter conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, very dark, very gloomy, very cave-like. So we want to meet the sun with some of these things as well. Vitamin D deficiencies, anything like that could be very prevalent right now. And now that I've spoken a little bit about the very difficult and chaotic potentials of this new moon and this transit, I want to talk about the opposite, the potential for absolutely rising above a series of difficult events, the potential for drastic and imperative self-rejuvenation and transformation, the potential for hearing a call to action coming from source energy, the potential to no longer limit yourself and create your own obstacles away from the destiny that you've actually been forging for lifetimes, perhaps. This new moon in Scorpio, the way that it connects with the other transits, makes it so extremely naturally flowing. Again, the energy of a sextile is not frustrating. It's not a problem creating or grinding frequency like a square would be. If this were a square, like we were having sometimes back in Libra, to me that would feel really crazy, egomaniacal, over the top, totally erratic. But with the sextile, it creates natural transformations. It creates natural transformations that are more prone to manifesting real, to actually realizing, and I mean like realizing, making something real, making something tangible, actually being able to accomplish a very lofty goal becomes possible at the start of this new moon. I'm getting chills as I'm saying that. And leading up to the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius, for those of you who've had a call to action from like your inner being, from source, from, like God, like feeling like you, oh my gosh, now I know what I have to do. Now I know my soul purpose. Take this new moon to maybe ritualize that a little bit, to light candles, to understand the true macrocosmic dreams and ideals of what you are pondering and considering. Disconnecting as much as you can from ego. Ego is not always bad, okay? But it will fog the mirror of purpose a lot of the time, and it will kind of like reach and grasp for things that just deviate us from that true path. Disconnecting as much from ego as possible. with that being a natural process, not being a forced process, because then we would be using ego to disconnect from ego, so we wouldn't be disconnecting from ego. But just, really talking to your true self, really talking to the universe, really maybe even going on nighttime walks safely, maybe just like a really nice night out on your porch or something, I don't know. Peel back the layers and look at why you want what you want, and look at why you've come to where you've come, and looking at how these purposes truly create a path forward. This all feels like vital right now because it flows naturally. The energy of the sextile, it's like this is the best time to actually access what this triple conjunction in Capricorn means for an individual, and to not do that in a totally egoic way, and to not do that in a destructive way even, if we can peel back those layers and do it with integrity, because some people can try to grasp for power, some people can try to be an authority over something, some people can use this energy to do some dark, dangerous things too, or to try to pull somebody down, or to try to blame somebody for something, or to try to accuse, very accusatory energy as well, which would be, to a large degree, very egoic, depending on the situation. I mean, there are some things that certainly need to be talked about, and there are some things that need that light to be shed. I will say I don't see a lot of light being shed, though. It's very dark energy, okay? The Mars in Aries is also way too deconstructed by the Capricorn and Scorpio to be that light. Mars and Aries can be like that, like a bit exposing, as can the new moon in Scorpio. It can be a very exposition energy, like being seeing things for what they truly are. It feels more personal to me, though. It feels more at the self level in regards to purpose, and 10th house matters. So as that comes in, I think it's such a gift and such a blessing for everyone. Okay, and to conclude on this moon, everyone, because I think that it's kind of pretty much all come together, things can just suddenly be cohesive now, okay? To me, it feels like things finally are in order, okay? All this effort that we've been doing to get things together, to make things cohesive, to make things real in our lives, it feels like this new moon might just be the first step, or the first breath of life to experiencing what life is like in order, experiencing what having things really official is, really neat, interesting to maybe start a business, or to start the planning process of a business in a really strong, integrity based way. Also, I will say that it feels like relationships are strengthened. So the relationships that survive this, the relationships that come through this, the relationships of which we are showing our loyalty, guys, loyalty might just be the most prominent concept shown with this transit. Who we've been loyal to, what we've been loyal to, where our loyalties have been, will decide our momentum. It will decide our momentum. Our loyalty will really decide our momentum with this transit, okay? And pulling that thread through, who we've been loyal to, I think will be loyal back to us. Great relationship strengthening energy, actually. And certainly, yes, with all that potential for strength, you could have a breakup. You could also have a complete destruction of a relationship. You could have divorce papers filed or something like that with this energy too, just because for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. However, if anything like that happens, it would be a blessing in disguise, okay? Because it's just we are getting around the people that we need to be around with this transit. We're getting strength in the relationships that need to be strong. And things really do come together in that way. So it feels like there are people on our side. It feels like there are people who will stand with us, okay, if we have any difficulty. And that's why also a bit of a selflessness is not bad with this transit either, For me, I've felt a really big calling to be helpful to certain people in my life. I felt a really big calling, and it has nothing to do with receiving anything in return, but it just felt important to me. There was something about this Capricorn energy that said to me, okay, when you do well in your life, and I've been blessed with this channel to have a bit of, stability in my life. And as I went into that phase, I'm like, okay, now I've got to help people. Now I've got to, continue with the channel, obviously, but also people in my personal life. I'm like, okay, I've got to help out. I've got to be there. And I think that will be rewarding in more ways than one. Okay. And that's important to remember now too. Constancy, consistency, security, not selling out. Okay. Things like that are really rewarded. I'm just glancing back at this outline that I'd made. Okay, yeah, there is actually one more topic that I want to talk about before we get off for today, everyone. Be sure to hit the like button and comment. Let me know how the video is resonating. I love y'all's feedback. But the last thing that I want to talk about is actually like shape-shifting, okay? And the form that we take. So I don't really mean shape-shifting like physically, but people are changing form right now. As I said, 2 people in my life's form changed when they had surgery. And I have seen a lot of people who've been like drastically changing their appearance. I've seen people who are drastically changing their careers, and they really are shape-shifting energetically. And they're turning into different people. I know one person in my life also, who's not one of the people I took for surgery, but I know one person who was always really struggling financially and working, jobs that were not rewarding, and it was really sad. And I just saw them become a very successful real estate agent over this last year. And that was like really incredible to see people transforming in that way. That's part of this Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and Capricorn, because the Pluto aspect of it gives that transformative, deep, like almost transforming maybe hundreds of years of ancestral karma now. So I've seen so many people change shape and change their entire lives, change their entire status also. And we've talked a lot about status. I'm not going to go into that in this video, but just it's so important to be aware of it. Like, look around at the people in your life. How are they changing? Seeing how you've changed, seeing what changes you want to make. We only have about 3 or 4 more weeks of this ability, okay? And Jupiter, Saturn, and Aquarius does maintain this for a little while, but we want the intention of changes in form or changes in career, changes in any of this stuff. We want that intention to be placed now if we could. This new moon in Scorpio is a great time to ritualize a change in intention, to grow your integrity to a new level, to also re-examine intentions. Like, what is my intention really with this? And that's actually where you learn about true integrity, is that re-examination of intention. And also, I don't think there's any room for doing things that are fake feeling to us, or doing things that are inauthentic, or doing things or becoming people or looking that part, or, getting the plastic surgery that makes us look like something that we weren't born as. It's, again, I've known people also who've had those procedures too, and that's not bad. I'm not saying that plastic surgery is wrong in any way, but it needs to be authentic. And as you go through that, it's like shapeshifting, So yeah, I could see plastic surgery also. Something that is really about changing physical form. That's very prominent right now too. That's interesting. Maybe there will be like new procedures that come from this time, like brand new types of surgical procedures. Ooh, that's interesting. That would be a really, or actually even like cures to cancer, or new cures to old diseases. That's very possible with this Pluto, Jupiter, Saturn sextile to the Scorpio energy. I'm hoping that somewhere in the scientific community, there's some kind of huge progress actually with this transit. That could be an interesting observation to see, the cure to an old disease or a new type of surgical procedure, whether that's cosmetic or not. That really helps to change people's form in a good way, in a way that is needed, in a way that is life-saving. There's something about life-saving with this energy too. So you could actually be saved by this energy. You could finally feel your purpose. You could finally feel what you're meant for. And that it does feel to save lives in a way also. Because that is one of the ways that disease does manifest, is through forcing yourself to do things that you're not meant for, or forcing yourself to do things that feel wrong is a way that we manifest, one of the ways that we manifest disease in life. So As we manifest like life-saving techniques or life-saving experiences, that should be seen right now and notated and ritualized perhaps even. But anyway, everyone, what a wonderful, wonderful stream of consciousness this has been. I've really enjoyed being with you guys. I feel like we just laid things out. I feel like we just like put it all out there, and it feels like we're working together here too, because I wouldn't do this if it weren't for you all, you know, if it weren't for this community, and if it weren't for all this coming together, this would be entirely too difficult at this point in time. There are things about this YouTube channel that I am in love with, and there are things about it that are very difficult to maintain. And if you would like to contribute to it, you can always hit that join button by the subscribe button. I also have a Patreon page, which is really a great way to get some bonus content and also support the channel monthly. And I will be doing a promotion for Patreon during this new moon in Scorpio. I'll tell you all about it in the community tab, but once a year I try to do a free join day on Patreon where signing up is totally free, and you can see if you like it. And I'm planning on that happening probably on November 14th and 15th. So if you sign up on November 14th or 15th for Patreon, you will see an automatic refund for your membership fee. And I try to do that once a year just because it's a great way to get, you know, people who have been wanting to try it but would like that maybe trial phase to see if they like it. So yes, it will be free membership on November 14th and 15th. For Patreon. So do mark your calendars and sign up, and I will be reminding everyone on the community tab. I might make a specific video about it. We'll see, but that's a great way to support the channel. Also, yes, just your likes, comments, and subscribes. I'm getting so close to a really neat milestone here on YouTube. So if you guys are new and haven't had the chance to subscribe, I would so appreciate that. We're talking all the time about the, you know, really hard-hitting spiritual, astrological, life messages that are so prominent, and it's just, I'm so happy to be here with you all. I'm also on Discord too. If you want to join the Discord community, that's totally free. It's just a community of like-minded people who are always talking about the most cool things. We do game nights, we talk about transits, we chat about who knows what over on Discord, so I'll link that below too. And without further ado, thank you all so much for being here. Enjoy this new moon in Scorpio, enjoy this revitalizing time, and enjoy life. Okay, thanks so much everyone. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.